Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of the debate. We haven't got a name for it yet, so get some comments in below, give us some ideas. Jay, Harrison, Jamie, any ideas?
We're going to have uploaded it before we put a title in and get the comments, aren't we? So think about it.
Good. Well said. Anyway, moving on. Part 2 is about LVG and the squad. We have done part 1 as well, which is about the philosophy. So if you haven't seen that yet, check that out after this though. So don't go away from this page yet. Anyway, moving on. LVG and the squad. I'm going to come to you first, Jay. Who has stood out for you this season?
I'm going to go straight in. I know this is going to upset you. I know this is coming.
I'm going to knock you off the chair.
Honestly,
how's that sound?
I was dreading this because I thought this is just going to turn into me and him going at it. We did it on Twitter for about 24 hours one day when I made the mistake of saying that Ashley Young had a good game. You're having none of it. Yeah, for me, the standout player is Ashley Young. And let me finish before you jump down my throat. Yes, De Gea's probably been our player of the season, but for me, De Gea's probably continued from where he was under Moyes. Maybe kicked on a little bit, but we all were expecting that. I don't think anyone at the beginning of the season thought we'd be in a position where Ashley Young was keeping the likes of Di Maria out of the team. But I think he's done a job. He's done a job in loads of different positions: right back, right wing back, left wing back, right wing, left wing. He's done a job. There's been times when we really need him, like in the derby, Palace away, Arsenal. I thought he played well the other week. He's stepped up, and he's a player that everyone hated. Everyone was getting on his case. Very few United fans liked him as a player. We might have liked him as a man because he was one of those who'd stand in the away crowd and you know, did his bit for charity and whatnot. But for me, he's been arguably one of our best outfield players anyway.
Player of the year for you?
Yeah, I'd say probably De Gea's probably shading it. Outfield, I think Ashley Young over the season has been our best player.
Go on.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Right. Let me get this in first. Defensively, I think he actually brings quite a lot to the team because he's a real honest player and he puts a shift in. Going forward, we need to demand more than what Ashley Young can deliver. Fundamentally, a right-footed left winger is useless. And Ashley Young epitomises that for me. Inverted wingers, if they're coming in and shooting and regularly getting goals, can be quite a productive thing. See Ronaldo. Ashley Young is that. Hang on. Okay, there's other examples, but Ashley Young, what he does, he's beat his man quite often. But when you're beating your man, you need to have a product. And Ashley Young's product is generally substandard. And I think we have to demand more. And I think there's an element of the way he always cuts inside to do it on his right foot, and then usually floats one to the back post. It's a disservice to whoever's playing centre forward. They've got to alter the run. Usually that split second where he's pulled it back to fling it back in again has allowed the defence to get that extra yard and just get in front. And we're never getting behind the team. We're never getting one of those crosses in. You've seen it when he did it against Crystal Palace the other day, and he chose the wrong option and went for Mata. I think he might have got a deflection, ended up going over. I'm going to refute that Ashley Young has been our player of the season. The player of the season for me, we've already touched on it, I think, a little bit. De Gea goes without saying. He's been outstanding. Won games on his own.
Hang on.
The Liverpool
Before
game,
you go on to play with you, Jamie, can I get your opinion
Liverpool,
on Ashley Young, just from a kind of neutral perspective?
You know, I mean,
Because I agree with Howson.
I think it's all correct that he's done really well compared to last season. He kind of won the derby for you, I thought, at Old Trafford. Yeah, you know, because you won no doubt to Aguero. That's not a bad, you know, not a bad game to, you know, win.
The comments, I can see the comments already.
I still like to think if Di Maria's playing his best, he keeps him out of the team if it's a straight fight. But just generally about outfield players, I think it's quite difficult in it to pick a standout player. I was going to say Mata, but I'm not saying he's streets ahead of anyone else, but just because of the goals at Liverpool.
Smalling,
and, you know,
Herrera
has got. I think
yeah,
Smalling
you can
and
make a
Herrera have
case.
had better seasons than Ashley Young.
see where you're
I think the
coming from.
base for where Ashley Young has improved from, he's made massive improvements.
But it's the thing that
and
I
that's
said
why I
last
wouldn't have
week,
been
mate.
surprised to him get players player or something like that. But he wasn't
People,
player of
especially
the year.
United fans, are too quick to go amazing and shy. And ultimately,
in between.
everything
I get
always
what you're
lies in
saying.
the
I'm
middle.
not saying Ashley Young's been, as I said, you know, over
All right,
the
let's
course of
stop
the
Ashley
season.
Young because we
people
like Ashley Young.
Yeah.
Whether we want him on the bench or in the first team, we like Ashley Young. So let's not make it the Ashley Young show. Let's bring Fellaini in, Howson.
Right. Right. Now, one of the fundamental reasons that our centre forwards have lacked ball at the feet, and we created fewer chances in QPR last season. What is all that about? I can't even wrap my head around that. With the possession we've had as well, created fewer chances in QPR. That's absolutely not good enough, however you paint it. The problem we've had is recently, the three players that have been tasked with feeding the striker has been Ashley Young, Fellaini and Valencia. Valencia can't even cross a street no more. I don't know what's up with him, but he has just completely lost all ability to beat a man and put a cross in. And he used to be amazing at it. That 2010 season, he was fantastic at it. He only had one trick, but it was mint. Fellaini, as I've said many times, is a plan B player, and I think he's really effective as a plan B player. When you're playing from the start, he's not got the footballing brain or ability at his feet to be able to pick a pass into the box. Like we've seen when Mata comes centrally, the balls that he plays, that's football, and Fellaini's not got that in him. And then obviously Ashley Young checking, beating his man and then cutting inside. It's useless. It looks good individually, but this is a team sport and he's not doing enough for me. Them three aren't doing enough for me as a forward three. I know Valencia's right back, but he's the one that's doing most of the crossing. Them three are not delivering the ball into the final third. And I think Fellaini, at the centre of that, being the guy that's got to thread it through to the number 9, whether that's Rooney, Van Persie, or Falco, it's not been good enough. Can you legitimately say, I saw a ball of Fellaini where he played it along the floor, just in behind the defender, with the right weight on it and everything? It's never happened.
I do feel Louis van Gaal has played to the strengths of Fellaini more than the likes of Rooney, Van Persie or Falcao. Players that could have done a lot more for us. But I think at times when we were fighting against it, our football wasn't as good as it should have been. We kind of needed to just get an outlet almost just to get something out of it. And we're going to move on. Before we go on, actually, your player of the season. Player of the, who's been your top dog?
I think even though I've just sort of praised Ashley Young for outfield, overall it's got to be De Gea, hasn't it, really?
I would tend to agree, but I'm going to give Chris Smalling some props.
Is this outfield?
Yeah. Well,
No,
anything.
in general.
Well, De Gea, yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, he's gone then, isn't it? Defensively, a lot of talk about our defence. Positionally, they took a long time to get used to the way Louis van Gaal wanted to play. They were all over the place at times. They still are all over the place at times. But we still had one of the best defensive records, I believe, in the league.
This is an interesting one because I think, he definitely started the season or the pre-season not fancying many of the defenders. I think Evans was his top of the ones that he had. And it's ended with Evans kind of maybe on his way, he could be up for grabs. And quite fancying Smalling, making him captain the other day, giving him a new contract. And, Jones is a little bit behind him. And so maybe that's why it seems to have cooled a little bit on a central defender. I think they are still after Hummels, but I still don't see that as a group of defenders. You haven't got a right back, really, have you? I mean, I don't understand the Raphael thing because he's not really giving him a chance. I don't know what you boys think about that.
I think the derby. Remember, Raphael got injured just before the derby, away at Etihad, and that seems to be like a watershed moment. He never got back into the side after that. I don't know whether Van Gaal maybe got annoyed with him getting injured again, or just didn't fancy him, like you saying, because he goes forward quite a lot. But up until then, he'd been in the team and been playing well. He got injured before the derby. Smalling, whatever happened there, doesn't go according to plan. And then we've not seen Raphael since, and I don't know whether Van Gaal spat his dummy out a little bit with him and just thought, I can't rely on you. You're either injured or you're a little bit of liability defensively or whatever. But he's just not looked at him twice.
What about Luke Shaw? Do you think a lot of people saying we need strength from right back? Yeah, a lot of people know that we need strength in centre back. So let's not go over that again. But left back, we've had Daley Blind play there at times. Luke Shaw, who come in on big money. Do you think Luke Shaw? I do. I think he could be our left back for 10 years. Do you share that after his first season?
Yeah, I think he's a very young lad, mate, and he's had a massive transfer fee. He's had the move up north, which is probably quite hard on an 18-year-old lad. He's had new team, which has been settling in not just to him but to the new boss and the new regime. There's been quite a lot of turmoil, and obviously he's had his injury problems. I've got no problem with Luke Shaw, and I think just give the guy time. Left back is not a place that we need to look to strengthen. Like I said, we've got Blackett, Rojo, Daley Blind can play there. We're fine at left back. Right back is where we've got our issues. And towards the end of the season, when Tony's been doing a pretty decent job defensively, which was always his weakness. Yeah, which was always his weakness when he played on the right wing. But he's really stepped up as a defender defensively. He's just not added it going forward. And I can't believe we've not given someone like Sadie Yanko a go, because the guy has looked immense. He's almost like a carbon copy of Valencia. A big, strong, direct right back that's actually got a bit of pace and a bit of skill to him. And I'd love to have seen him towards the latter end of the season. Just don't know what's happening.
Been great for Bolton, isn't he? Moving on to Captain Wayne Rooney. Bound to split opinion. Comments are going to go wild now. But I feel personally, Wayne Rooney, everyone's been ripping Falcao to shreds, Robin Van Persie to shreds. Wayne Rooney should have got some stick for his performances this season. I do believe he's been vital for the team in terms of as a captain, and he's a great leader. You hear about the players talking about him in the dressing room, so on and so forth. But on the pitch where it counts, I don't think he's done enough for Manchester United this season. Even when we were playing great football, beating City, beating Liverpool, beating Tottenham, Wayne Rooney didn't show up. And
it's interesting for me this because as a neutral, obviously, I don't think I come across any United fan who sings Rooney's praises, and yet he scored all those goals for he's been a member of loads of title-winning teams, and I know you're talking about this season as well, but I thought again he was kind of, quite an important player for you, but it just seems to be, don't know, maybe I'm missing something which a lot of United fans see about him, which you just don't fancy. I think he's a good player.
Of the lack of midfielders, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, he had to play in there, didn't he? I mean, which at the time said it all about Herrera, for example, because he actually admitted, I think it was before, around at the time of the Preston time, which I know Herrera played in, but it was around that sort of time. He basically said that the reason Rooney was playing there was because he didn't have anyone there at that time. I think Carrick was injured or whatever. He does get, I mean, obviously Ferguson ended up not fancying him at all, did he? You know what I mean?
But Kagger were in to replace him, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's funny how under Ferguson being brought back into midfield was a demotion for Rooney, and then under Van Gaal, he's not really looking at it that way. I suppose because he's the captain, he doesn't dare, and he's had a bit of rehabilitation. But I don't know. I think he's still a very important player for United.
Jay?
I think after the Leicester game away, remember when we lost 5-3 and he was slagging off all the players, like you could see him shouting at them all, sorry, and everyone sort of laid into him, didn't he? He don't know what he's doing as a captain. He leads the wrong way. He's at fault for goals and he's blaming others and all the rest of it. I think he's matured as a captain a lot since then. And I like him as a captain. I like the fact that he mirrors the referee throughout the game. Yeah. I like the fact that you see him geeing up other players. I just think his performances have tailed off. And I think he's suffered. He's never a defensive midfielder. And a lot of the time, as you were saying, Jay, he's been like the most deep midfielder when he's played there. You've had other midfielders who you would think would be better suited to sit in front of the defence, playing in front of Rooney, and he's not a defensive midfielder any more than he's a goalkeeper, but he's had to sort of play there and do what he can, which hasn't been great. Then he's been put back up front, and his performances have been patchy. I know what you're saying about those 3 games, Spurs, Liverpool and City. I'd argue that against Spurs I thought he did well, City and Liverpool and some of the other games, he has gone missing, and at the end of the season he's been like, sort of a lot of the other players, he's really gone missing. But overall, I think as a captain, he's done well. As a striker, not been his greatest season, but he's suffered because of what he's had to do.
I know we're going to wrap this up shortly, but I know Jamie touched on United fans not appreciating Rooney.
He doesn't endear himself to the fans.
He obviously doesn't. But I mean, we do appreciate as a footballer what he has done for the club. I think it's just as a person
it's just
more than
he's
anything.
Scouse. That's all it is.
Basically.
It might be.
Anyway, moving on. You guys agree with me? Evan should have been captain then, innit?
Get out.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
Get out now.
don't know why I said that at the beginning of the season. Anyway, moving on. If you missed part 1, then go and check that out now. And part 3 will be linked in the description below. Thank you to Jay, Harrison, and Jamie Jackson. We'll be back with part 3 shortly.
I would say that him coming in probably makes it more likely that Di Maria might go because he's similar position. I'm not. I mean,